Hello and welcome to another edition of Bomb3r's Blitz on the College Football Mafia Network. I'm your host, Nathan Bomber Brown. And we're in the doldrums of the off season. This is the one of the few weeks where college football takes a step back, and it's because the 3 weeks in March where we're talking about March Madness, basketball takes over, and there's really no news out in college football land. So we have to make do with the stories that come to us. So tonight, another one of those times where we're going to have a few stories, and then I'm going to turn the time over to you guys. I want comments, questions. You guys can call in. We can talk and really get into the conversation. So the show will go as long as you guys stay engaged. I'd love for you to be involved. So make sure when I open the phone lines, you guys call in and get involved. That's what we want to do around here. And I want to thank everybody for always trying to make this show something that they look forward to. This is the College Football Mafia channel. I'm your host. And we do a lot of good stuff around here. Me, Wild Ute, Moen, and the team. We have some fantastic topics. We cover college football, college sports news in general, the business of college football, the way realignment works, and then the college football playoff that's a majority of the stuff we cover. And then we dive into football, which is really all anybody wants to talk about that matters at all. The rest of the stuff is just for fun, gives us something to fill the hours during the off season. So I invite, if you're new, make sure you give us a thumbs up. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter and get involved. Questions, comments, those things really matter to us. I want to invite everybody to do what they can to become a part of what we're doing around here. And the more you engage, the better we are, the more fun we have. And I guarantee you the shows that we put together, the stuff that we do is a lot more fun when everybody gets involved. So I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to do that and join us here tonight. I will open the phone lines. I'll have the phone number. I'll publish that. You guys can call in. I'll also take comments and questions. So if you want your comment or question to be read in the comment section, you can make it a super chat. Just hit that dollar bill next to the box where you put in your comments on your main YouTube page, and you can pick super chat, or you can do a super sticker and just give us a tip for what we do around here. Either one, fine with me. Doesn't matter. We love to have those things. Helps keep the lights on. But they're guaranteeing your comments get out to the world. I read them. I'll engage with you and maybe drill down on some of the topics that you guys are really itching to talk about. I've got 3 big ones, what I think are big, that have been hanging around the last day or two that I think you guys might find interesting. At the same time, the call-ins can be on anything, whatever's on your mind. Comments can be too, but sometimes those are hard to find if they're mixed up and everything else that people are talking on topic. Last thing I'll say is, if you want to become a member of the College Football Mafia family, hit that join button if you're watching on the main YouTube page, on the College Football Mafia page, or you can become a new member by hitting the dollar bill next to the comment box, and you can sign up to be a new member of the College Football Mafia family. You can gift memberships, and that's just some of the stuff we do around here. It's a lot of fun. You know, these shows are low stress, so hopefully we'll give you an hour or so that we can talk about stuff, and everybody can be in a good mood. We don't have to there's not a lot of stuff to be angry about today. In fact, the next month, there's not a lot of stuff, in my opinion, you could be able, people getting all anxious about. But I do, and I will try to get you motivated to talk. I do gin you up. So if I happen to drill down on a topic that you seem to think is important and I come at you, it's not because I want to engage and be negative. It's because I want to know what you're thinking. That's why I do this. It's the whole reason I started the channel, is I want to engage with you. I've already talked 5 minutes, and I only talked 30 seconds the entire show. Obviously, I'm setting it up today. But yeah, I want to hear from you. I'd rather talk to you guys. So when I open the phone lines, make sure you call in. and then continue to leave your comments and questions. That's kind of how we do things around here. Let's do some shout outs before we get to any of the news that I've got squirreled away for the show today. Let's start at the top. Rudy is saying, yo, on X. Good to see you, Rudy. What's up, man? If you are watching on X, do us a favor also. Before the night is over, jump over onto our YouTube page, College Football Mafia. Hit that subscribe button and, become a viewer on YouTube. That's really how we can start to monetize what we do around here. Rudy, we've had some good conversations in the last 2 or 3 weeks. Good to see you, Rudy. And you can tell that Rudy's on X because you see his picture there, has the little X next to it. We don't get enough comments on X. I wish people engage more on X because it's a lot of fun. But it's great to see Rudy right out the gate coming in off X. That's pretty cool. What is the phone number, Rudy? I will post the phone number when we start taking calls. So sit on that for a little bit. As soon as we open the phone lines, though, I will publish the phone number. Jansen Roberts in the house, a valuable member of the College Football Mafia family. The way we know this is because it's got that little S signal or sign next to his name. Jansen, I want to recognize you as being a member, as a bunch of people in here tonight are. Thank you so much for your loyalty and being that month-to-month member helps us keep things going around here, believe me. No, the P2 controls the end narrative for Notre Dame. So he's answered the question that I opened, or at least set up the show with, and that is, does Notre Dame control college football's future? We'll get into that in a little bit, Jansen. I have a tweet that I'm going to review, and then I want to have a conversation about it. But thank you for your comment. I think that's a lot of people feel the same way you do. But Notre Dame, while important, they don't dictate kind of where the future is. And we'll talk about that in greater detail in just a little bit. I always get this wrong. Where's Moan when I need him? Kaoio. Kaio. Dang it. Anyways, it's good to have you here, man. I'm a Notre Dame fan, and their future of being independent will end after the next wave of realignment. The ACC will dissolve very soon. If the ACC goes away, so does Notre Dame's independence. So what he's saying here is if the ACC loses its biggest brands to realignment, that Notre Dame would have no reason to stick around, keep that deal with them, and they would move on and join one of the other two conferences or come up with another scheduling agreement of some sort. That a lot of people believe that's true too. That's definitely an option people have been talking about for a long time. Big Lubbock, first in my heart, always in the house. Texas Tech Red Raider, good to have you here, Lubbock. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Daniel Gygax, contributor extraordinaire around here. We really appreciate all the hard work he does for us. Thanks for being here tonight, Daniel. Saying hi, everyone. Let's see, John Dry checking in. Good to see you, John. Hey, y'all. Hey, y'all. Good to have you here. Bob Swanger says, hi, everyone. Good to see you, Bob. Bob's a OG member of the College Football Mafia family. We really appreciate his loyalty. Penn State, Nittany Lion in the house. Good to have that. Man, John Dry says BYU is greater than Utah. I agree, John. You're right. You're right. That's one way to have me read your comment is to say BYU is better than Utah. Skaven, yes. Go Big Red. In the house, good to be here with you tonight. Skaven, yes. Valuable member of the College Football Mafia family, OG member at this point. Thank you so much for being loyal, Skaven. We appreciate you. Hello, Bomber, he says. Let's see. Mick Stevens says, go Frogs. I would believe that would be Texas. That would be TCU, right? TCU Horned Frogs. Good to have you here, Mick Stevens. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Caleb Ramirez representing the Ohio State in the house saying hi, y'all. Good to have you here, Caleb. Caleb's a long-standing OG member of the College Football Mafia family. So is this guy, Evil Badger, Ryan Willie, who has had some health challenges, but boy, we sure keep him in our prayers. Ryan's doing well. I can report. I've gotten a couple texts from him. He seems to be doing okay. He's staying positive, and that's all you can do in trying times. Just know that you got a lot of people pulling for you. Ryan, Evil Badger, longstanding OG member of the College Football Mafia family. Bulldog, Mississippi, representing the Mississippi State Bulldogs in the house, representing the SEC as well. newer member of the College Football Mafia family, but somebody who's become really active, and I appreciate the engagement that we get out of Bulldog, Mississippi. Thank you so much for all you've done for us, Bulldog. You know what I'm talking about. Evening Mafia is what he says. And one more comment is by Thunder Redmond, right? Thunder Redmond FB. We'll call that football. What's up, Wolverine fan in the building? Okay, I have no problem with Wolverine fans. That would be the Michigan Wolverines. Go blue. I'm not sure what's going on up there with Jay Hill and making comments. I don't know what he's doing. It's like people lose their mind when they go to Michigan. The question I have for you, Thunder, is where will you be at the end of the season? Is this the year that Kyle brings you guys back with Jay as your defensive coordinator? Jay's an elite defensive coordinator, so it's quite possible he does. We'll have to see how Kyle does with the overall football program. But regardless, welcome to the show. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and subscribe on YouTube. All right, Mark's Holy Grail checking in, always bringing up good topics for the show. Good to have you here, Mark. How you doing, Nathan and everyone? Good to have you here, Mark. Very much so. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Yep, I'm doing well. Hoosier Dave, the Indiana Hoosiers, the defending national champion in football. If you would have told me that, I would say that in the 1980s and 90s, you could have put me over with a feather if I would have believed that. That would have been crazy talk. And yet they just went out and had one of the legendary runs in college football history. It was quite extraordinary, and that will be legendary. Nobody ever can take that away from Indiana. It doesn't matter. They could lose the rest of the games for the next 60 years. Nobody would care because they won a national championship and probably one of the most competitive national championship atmospheres that there's ever been, with NIL spreading the wealth, more talent all over the place. To win the way they did this last year is beyond impressive. And I can't speak enough about Indiana in that regard. And one more comment here from Thunder Redmond. Yes, I believe that we're going 3 in a row in Columbus. Okay. All right. We'll have to find out, but Michigan wins a third one in Ohio again. That would be, boy, oh boy. That would be something else. Hoosier Dave says, we are the future and the future is now. Okay. I love it. That's great. That's why we're here, guys. Those are great takes. Thank you so much for being here early and get those comments in. Let's jump to a couple of news things, and I will get to the tweet that generated the show tonight. Let's start with this one. This is Mitt Winter following up on an original tweet from Dan Murphy. I'm going to take Mitt Winter's link. I'm going to share it here with you. And this news has come out just in the last few days. It really came out on Thursday of last week. University of Nebraska has football players that are suing to get their $1 million or more from the CSC that denied them their payments. And there's lots of moving pieces here. So I'm gonna read a couple things, and then we can talk about it for a second. Dan Murphy first says Nebraska versus CSC is the latest symptom of college football's central tension. Can the richest few dozen schools find a way to coexist with everyone else in football, in FBS? Try to explain some of the case's big implications with Pete Thamel and Max Olson. So then Mitt replies to that original post and says, great look at the potential significance of the Nebraska football arbitration proceeding against the CSC. The outcome could lead to the demise of the current model. The CSC, if you're new around here, you won't know this because you haven't heard me say this a billion times like the normal OG people have. But since the House settlement was announced, I have said it's never going to work the way they want it to. Never. And Nebraska is trying to break it right now. They're basically saying, how can you place a value on our players? You who have only been around 18 months, if that, why is your valuation any better than the valuation we came up with on our own? So Nebraska has signed on with the players, and they're suing to get that. They're suing for the house settlement to basically change so that they can get the money, even though that was denied them by the CSC NIL Go platform, which is obviously the arbitrage that everybody has to put their data into. Players and schools have to put all their NIL money to run through that. Not schools, sorry. Players and third parties need to put all of the money they're going to be making through that arbitrage at the CSC, and they determine whether you get that money or not, whether it's overpaying or not. And the whole idea is ridiculous if you think about it. But that's what they started, and that's where we are here. I don't think the current model is going to be around much longer. That's just my opinion. This also points out the big flaw with the house settlement. All sports are lumped together. So let me just read a few of these quotes. If Nebraska seeks an arbitration, many football staffs and athletic department officials around the country said they are likely to interpret the ruling as a sign that the fledgling CSC does not have the legal power it needs to enforce any kind of cap. Athletic department officials believe any remaining hesitation about exploiting loopholes could quickly disappear. If Nebraska loses the arbitration case, which is supposed to conclude in the next 45 days, but could be extended, the state's attorney general could potentially intercede, and they could also sue. Now, if you remember, and if you're new around here, you might not know this, but the CSC put out a letter at the end of the football season saying, it was near the end of the football season last fall, that said, we need you to sign this piece of paper, talking to the schools. We need you to sign this piece of paper basically saying you're going to turn over all of your rights for enforcement to us. You're going to let us do that for you. You negotiated this House versus NCAA thing. The only way we built this CSC organization, NIL Go organization, is for enforcement. We're supposed to be doing that enforcement. Well, it wasn't negotiated in the original House versus NCAA settlement. There's a reason it wasn't negotiated and why it was approved, signed out the door, but still hadn't had everybody's signature on it. And the reason was, if they had put it in the original negotiation, it never would have been approved. So what the CSC is trying to do now is, well, the horse has already left the barn. It's already gone. You can wave at him, bye-bye. We're going to shut the barn door, and we're going to try to do enforcement even though the horse is gone already. Doesn't work that way. And it's not going to work that way. And I don't think it's ever going to have everybody sign on to it. Something else is going to come along that is going to put teeth to this. And it's not, in my opinion, it's not going to be the CSC, House versus NCAA thing. If the CSC succeeds in blocking the Nebraska deals, many teams that have used similar contracts to sign their players will be in a difficult position to fulfill the payments. The CSC is trying to show its teeth. If they succeed, there's going to be millions upon millions of dollars that aren't delivered to players. Meaning you could have announced NIL deals. Player Joe goes to your school. He thinks he's getting an NIL deal. He submits all this paperwork. Halfway the season has gone by, and then we'll get some notice that says they're not going to approve that payment. So the player who had been told he's getting something, the CSC will tell him no, that you're not going to get it. They're so far behind on all their deals. That's what's happening now. Is it's going weeks longer, months longer than it should have to be approved. And it'll continue to do that. In that inflated market, quarterbacks and players at premium positions such as edge rusher and offensive tackle secured more $1 million deals than $1 million deals than ever before. Then the pressure to keep up, la da 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 da. Okay, so you guys get what I'm saying here, right? Everybody understand why this became a thing? This became a thing because Nebraska signed on with the players because we want the players to get their money. The reason we want the players to get their money is because we want them to stay at Nebraska. So the easiest way to keep players at Nebraska is you pay them the money that you've committed to in NIL. If the CSC comes along and says they can't get that money because it's too much, their 5 social media appearances, it does not amount to $1 million in payments for NIL. Nebraska is going to lose players. They'll walk away because they wouldn't have gotten their deals approved. That's how bad it's going to get. And that's why it's so important that the schools are backing these athletes up to try to get the money to come through. So that is an outstanding issue. That's a major, major news item that's hanging out there. So prime that. Okay, you guys get your questions, comments, get them going now. I will scan through these and we'll go through them and get your comments as we go through these different news items. But this first one probably has the most reach of any of the news items I'm going to touch on today. Because if the CSC doesn't have enforcement mechanisms, then the House versus NCAA settlement really has no teeth. And Congress, it's then on their shoulders to get something negotiated. And raise your hand if you think that Congress is going to get anything negotiated for college sports at all this year. Remember, it's election year for the House. So every House member is going to be up for re-election. So it's going to be bipolar. Almost no laws are going to get passed this entire year because this election season lasts the entire year nowadays. And that's why it's so important whether they get something passed or if they don't get something passed, what are you going to do about it? So let's get to some comments right now. Let's see if I can bust through some of the ideas that you guys got going through your head. I'm going to just ask you right now, comments, let's just tie them to this first report about the Nebraska lawsuits, players getting paid, and the CSC, whether it has any teeth or not. And we'll talk about that for a few minutes, all right? First one I'll take right here is Fergie, FF18 Bus, contributor, also a valuable member of the College Football Mafia family. Yo, Bomber, good to see you. Sco Bug. I think that's supposed to be Sco Bucks. But or Buffs, sorry. I cannot stand Notre Dame, but if they headline a third conference as a leader and add another 15 or so best brands, that would be a powerful media property. Best of the rest conference that has Notre Dame as a primary partner, if not a member, that would be the most valuable conference that they could make. And it would create 3 power conferences and everybody else would be fighting for survival. That absolutely could happen. It really, really could. I'm not going to say how likely it is, but this absolutely could be in our future. There's no doubt about it. Let's see. Hold on, Mississippi. What is this stuff? Is Nebraska the guinea pig for the CSC or something? I haven't heard of them cracking down on any of these other big brands. This is the biggest starting one. I'm glad you brought that up, Bulldog Mississippi. Everybody go to that link, and I can post the link again. Go to this link and read the entire article. This is sort of a litmus test. This is absolutely a litmus test to see everybody else looking around going, what's going to happen? And it's ironic. It wasn't LSU. It wasn't Clemson. It wasn't Mississippi or Ole Miss. It wasn't Alabama. It wasn't Michigan. It wasn't Ohio State. It was Nebraska. And the reason it was Nebraska is because there was 18 athletes that had $1 million or more taken away from them. That's why I think it started with this case. So that's a good thing you're bringing up, though, Bulldog Mississippi. Very good. I haven't heard of them cracking down on any other brands. So, yeah, that's something to think about. Very much. That's kind of where we're going at the end of the way with the CSC. I don't know how else we can say it. Daniel says, nope, nothing is passing through this Congress. I couldn't agree more. the SCORE Act, the SAFE Act, or whatever. I don't know all the act names for, and I got that story number 2. I've got an act story coming up right next. I don't think anything gets through Congress, and I'm on the record. I've been saying that for 4 years, so why should I change my mind now? Anyway, thank you for your comments on that, guys. Obviously, I'm going to move to the next story, but you guys can continue to bring these things up as we're talking later in the show. I'd love to talk about this stuff in more detail if you guys want to do it. Let's see. This is the next one, and this is the illusion that I was getting to, which is a loss. It's not a lawsuit. It's a new act that's. Let's just bring it up right now. Coach Tommy Tuberville. Everybody remember good old Tommy? I believe he's from Auburn, right? You guys correct me if I'm wrong. He was the Auburn football coach forever and a day. He's now a senator out of Alabama, if I remember right. But let's get this really quick. I just posted the link to this post. Coach Tommy Tuberville. It's absolutely ridiculous that we have a 25-year-old student who graduated 3 years ago still playing college football. My bill, and this is Coach Tommy Tuberville's bill he's trying to propose, you get 5 consecutive years to play 5 seasons. After that, you're done. No more 7-year, no more 8-year, no more injury, no more red shirts, none of that. 5 years. 5 seasons, and if you transfer more than once, the second transfer, you have to sit out a year. So Tommy Tuberville says, I've got the solution. The solution is you can only play 5 years. It's 5 years in calendar order. There are no exceptions, no red shirts, none of this injury stuff. Play 5 seasons, and if you transfer more than once, the second transfer sits out a year. Okay, I'm going to ask you guys to raise your hands again. Who thinks that's practical? Give me your comments. Let me know what you think about this and how revanchist this sounds. What world is Coach Tommy Tuberville living in? Can somebody tell me that? There is no way we are going backwards with athlete eligibility. If anything, it's going to go the other direction. If I don't think the SCORE Act is going to get passed through Congress, why in the world would they pass something like this? There are too many exceptions, always have been. We've always had 25-year-old year 6 players. That's not new. That's not a COVID. He says here, no more of this COVID-free year of eligibility crap. That's a quote from him, by the way. We've always had those things going on decades and decades. We've had 5, 6, even sometimes 7-year participation for athletes. So, another example, I could be wrong. Maybe Tommy rams this through Congress this year. If you guys believe that Tommy Tuberville is going to be able to pull this off, ram this through Congress, tell me right now. I'm going to start a poll right now. Does Tommy Tuber's bill to restrict eligibility to 5 years have a chance? All right, let's see if this, I don't know. I don't normally do these start poll. Yes, no, I just put a poll out, never done it before. Now you get a chance to answer it yourself. Do you think this law, this act, this thing that Tommy Tuberville's put out, you all can vote? It's right there in the comment section. Hit yes or no. It's a bipolar question and answer. Let me know what you guys think about that. If you're on X and you'd like to participate, you have to go over to our YouTube page, College Football Mafia. Get involved, hit the subscribe button, and then answer the question whether you think that Tommy Tuberville's deal has a chance in hell. While you're doing that, and I'm going to let that run for a little bit, let's get to some more comments as we go through it. Evil Badger Ryan Willie says, I like it. There's one. Ryan thinks that he likes it. And I'm assuming that means you'd like it to pass, Ryan. Daniel Gygax says, practically yes. Will it pass? No. Okay. So there's Daniel's voting. Fergie, the bundled NIL is bogus, but since the settlement is okay, I'm going to come back to that later in the show. Here's another one. Daniel says, a lot of people go to college for 7 years, and those people are called doctors. There's a little tongue-in-cheek humor there. Hoosier Dave says, limiting someone's freedom of movement and employment will have to get around that pesky thing they call the Constitution. Hoosier Dave, I could not agree with you more. You are spot on, brother. That's exactly my thinking as well. I don't think that restricting trade is against the law. Antitrust, the CSC doesn't have an antitrust exemption. Certainly the NCAA doesn't. So I don't know how they can even make this legal. So we'll see. And then Ryan says, Nathan, do you want 30-year-olds playing college football? We have always had, Ryan, punters that come over that play rugby for 7 years in Australia that come to the U.S. and kick. That's been going on for decades. They come over, they'll go to Colorado State, they'll go to Air Force, they'll do something, and they will be kicking, and they're 31, 32 years old. As long as they have eligibility, what does the age have to do with it? It's about eligibility, not the age. So, I don't know. College football is a tryout for the NFL. That's how you get picked and drafted in the NFL as you're in college. That's the filtering system. That's why it normally only goes for 5 years, is because people want to stay and play so that they can every year get better to get to the NFL. It doesn't have anything to do with whether you're right out of college and you just want to play football. Generally, I guess it could for some people. I guess I shouldn't wipe with that clean a slate, but it isn't generally. What's the outcome? Is the outcome getting through and getting your degree? That's what it's supposed to be. Anymore, is that really what we're doing though? It feels like everybody's trying out to get to the NBA. Everybody's trying out to get to the NFL. Everybody has that dream and they don't want to let it go. That's why it's recently gone 6, 7 years. Now, the reason people want to go 6, 7, 8, 9 years is because they can make a ton of money winning in college football and getting paid NIL money. Do I think there needs to be a rule in there somewhere, Ryan? Yes, I agree with you. But just to make a blanket cutoff like this thing from Tommy Tuberville, I don't think this is the way to do it. That's my opinion. I could be totally wrong. You might be totally right. I'm willing to say that out loud, but it's just not how I look at it. But good comment, though, Ryan. Thank you for asking that question. Bulldog Mississippi, so he's suggesting just getting rid of the red shirt years altogether then. That's all you'd be do by making 5 years from the date of enrollment, right? Yes, that's right. Yeah, getting rid of the red shirts, getting rid of your medical red shirts, your just normal red shirt. Yeah, 5 years is 5 years. That's what he's saying. Hoosier Dave, they can employ a safety measure, much like the NFL, to limit the amount of time they can stay in college athletics. Sure, there's all kinds of creative ways we can do it without saying we're going to restrict trade, that we're going to say they can't because we are the God mode of all college sports. We make the rules and the players just have to accept whatever we say. I don't believe that anymore. And the more you guys are involved, certainly the more you watch our show, the more involved you get into what we do around here. I think you're starting to form your own opinions about how you feel about these things. And that's what we do around here. We're trying to get you guys to think on your own. You guys come up with good ideas, and then we'll take those and we'll run with them. And I love hearing your comments. This is a lot of fun. This is my first poll I've ever done, and I'm seeing the benefits. I see what people can be having fun about it. All right, let's see. End poll, and it wasn't even close, everybody. It was 80%. 80% said no. 80% said no. 20% said yes. this 5-year eligibility thing to me, I think is it's a total PR stunt. Just like the President's Council was a few weeks ago, PR stunt. None of these things are going to happen. None of them. The score deal, none of those. And you can be mad at me by just being the guy who's saying none of them are going to happen, but I'm not the one forcing them not to happen, right? I'm just basically trying to open your eyes up to the reasons why I don't think they're going to happen. But nice of Tommy to, jump in there and, try to do something for the people. Mr. Ed Wayner coming in off the top rope. Good to see you, Mr. Ed. University of Houston in the house. OG member of the College Football Mafia family. As I have previously said, 6 years to complete 6 years, no waivers. 6 years from high school graduation or minimum 18 years or maximum from age 19. No players past 25 years old, 2 years before transfers allowed. So his fix would be you don't go past 25. The clock starts when you turn 18, and you can't transfer for 2 years. That's pretty straightforward, Ed. I appreciate you putting that out there. I think that's a good idea. There's some good things in there that somebody smart should come along and say, yeah, maybe we got to start using these ideas. I like that a lot better than what Tommy Tuberville was just doing, for sure. All right, let me get to the next news thing. By the way, if you want to be part of the show and you want to make sure I read your comment 100%, make it a super chat. Simply go to that little dollar bill next to the comment box on the main YouTube page. Hit the dollar bill and give us a super chat and let me know what your question is. I'm happy to give you airtime. Definitely. Would love to get your comments and questions out there. All right, so that's 2 stories. And I think that's where we're going to end it tonight. Those 2 stories are really, really thought-provoking, right? So just to run it back one more time, Midwinter, actually on Dan Murphy, wrote an article with Pete Thamel and Max Olson contributing, saying the Nebraska versus CSC lawsuit is a real deal. I would tell everybody to get informed on that. That could dictate where we go with paying players and enforcement for NIL dollars. There's the link to that article. And then, of course, we love to give credit where credit's due. Here's the article for the one with Coach Tuberville. I encourage everybody to go to that and read up and understand what Tommy's trying to put together and why we don't think it's probably going to be happening at the end of the day. All right. So the title of this show was, Does Notre Dame Control College Football's Future? And we're going to talk about it. So I'm going to prime you up, and then I'm going to open up the phones, and we're going to start talking about it. We're going to dive right in. I will give everybody a chance to call in. I will try to keep calls to 2 or 3 minutes. We'll try to get as many calls in as possible if you're new around here. That's kind of the way we do it. And I want to encourage everybody to once I open up the phone lines, get involved, leave comments, and let's make this a conversation because you guys are a lot smarter than I am. All right. Okay, let me go with all right, this is one of my good friends, Ryan G. Thomas, and he posted this link or did this post on Twitter earlier today, and I read through it. I was like, yeah, this is a good one for everybody to sort of listen to for a second, and then we'll talk about what you guys think about some of the things he's saying here. Ryan Thomas, somebody I really respect. Follow him on Twitter. Ask him questions. He loves getting involved with you. I will unequivocally say this. Notre Dame will decide the future of college football realignment. If it chooses to join the Big Ten, it will demand some combination out of Stanford, Duke, Georgia Tech, Miami, UVA, UNC, and Cal to come with it. I'll tell you the ones of those that I agree with. The Big Ten will acquiesce because the financial gain is that significant. So he's saying if Notre Dame will dictate the future of essentially the next round of realignment is what we're talking about here. And he's saying if Notre Dame decides to go anywhere, it'll be the Big Ten. And if they decide to join, they'll join with any combination of the schools that I just mentioned. I think Notre Dame Stanford is the most likely outcome in all of those things, because I don't think these conferences go more than 20, maybe 22. Sorry, Duke, if you're number 26, you're not getting into the Big Ten. That's my opinion. Anyway, the Big Ten will acquiesce because the financial gain is that significant. If Notre Dame stays independent, it will be because the SEC gives it a 6-game scheduling agreement, and the Irish can park their sports in the Big East if the ACC collapses. So let's talk through that again. If Notre Dame stays independent, the SEC does a scheduling agreement with them, and I don't know how likely that's possible. I mean, it's obviously possible. I'm not sure how likely that is. But if that was to occur, the ACC would die immediately. The minute Notre Dame leaves, the ACC's dead man walking. And those top brands, those top schools are going to do anything they can to get into a better conference. That would be the Big Ten. That would be the SEC. Or third would be the best of the rest, or the best brands you could cobble together to come up with a third conference of 16 to 20 schools. And I'm going to guess it'd be 20 to get the value that you'd need. Notre Dame stays independent, but leaves the scheduling agreement with the ACC. ACC dies, and then it's every man for themselves. I'll keep reading. ESPN and the SEC are highly incentivized to keep Notre Dame out of the Big Ten. I'm not going to, he's really detailed in there. You can always, I posted the link to his post. You can read along yourself. I think everybody's getting an idea about what happens if Notre Dame leaves the ACC. Also, I believe an alliance between the SEC and Notre Dame would shift Duke and UVA to join the SEC, giving it access to North Carolina, Virginia, and certain Northeastern markets. Duke has a huge New Jersey presence. People need to understand how Notre Dame impacts UNC, UVA, Duke, political relationship. Those three will follow each other. I don't necessarily agree with Ryan here. A lot of stuff I agree with what Ryan says, but I disagree at times too. I don't see this giant cabal. I do not see a P2 breakaway. This is where I want you guys to disagree with me in the comment section, or agree with me. Tell me, Bomber, you're absolutely right. I don't see that either. This is, get involved. You guys engage with me here, because I'm trying to gin you up. I'm trying to get everybody excited about whether this is a possibility, what would happen with Notre Dame or not. The trick is whether the Irish can find a suitable home for its Olympic sports. And I would just say suitable would be anybody. Big East, Big Ten, either one of those conferences. Big East would take Notre Dame back in a heartbeat. That would bring basketball back into one of the best basketball conferences in the country. Who knows, right? Whatever happens there, Notre Dame would be trying to find a place to put those other sports so it can just play football and compete for national championships. ESPN could easily shift teams from the ACC to the SEC. That's not actually true. You can't just easily shift from the ACC, SEC. There are some laws that disallow that. I'm not going to get into those laws tonight, but Ryan's trying to make a simplistic point here. I know he knows that too, but just for argument's sake, we'll continue. Or the Big 12 to maintain its inventory market share. Big 10 fans should not discount ESPN's vested interest and incentives in this regard. If the Big East rebuilt, ACC, Big 12, or SEC can house other Notre Dame sports, ESPN will make it happen. Has a lot at stake and is highly motivated. That is why the Big 10 will gladly accommodate whatever Notre Dame requests. All eyes are on the Irish. Okay, so I posted the link to that post. I hope that gets you guys thinking. I want you guys to think, Notre Dame, if they're a free agent, what happens? Notre Dame, if they join the Big Ten, what happens? Notre Dame, if they do a scheduling agreement with the SEC. Notre Dame, if they leave independence and go anywhere else, what happens with the remainder of the ACC? And the three brands that everybody would talk about would be, for football only, Clemson, Miami, Florida State. Football only. I'm only talking football. I'm not talking about the rest of their stuff. Those three brands for college football viewership are what drive things in the SEC. In the ACC. Then everybody else, and he lists them earlier, everybody else would be looking for a place. Stanford, Duke, Georgia Tech, UVA, UNC, and Cal all would be rats trying to find a home. And that's pejorative. Obviously, I'm not saying these schools are rats. I'm saying they would be looking to find a place to be a safe haven. I personally think it's leaning more towards a best of the rest conference. I do not believe in a P2 times 24 teams. I don't think that's the most likely. It's just my opinion. So Ryan's got really good points in there, everybody. And I just want you to think about that as we start going through and I start taking phone calls, listening to kind of the way you guys want to, think about these things. Start ginning up that stuff in the back of your head. What do you think happens with Notre Dame? I'll go back to the title of the show. Does Notre Dame control college football's future? Just think on that, and let's move forward. I am going to do another, since I had such a good time the first time, let's do another poll. Let me just ask a question. Does future realignment consolidation revolve around Notre Dame first? Okay, we're going to start the poll. I want you guys to start answering that poll. Let me open up the phone lines. Here we go. As I open up the phone lines, there are rules. First, let's get the ticker so you guys know how to get a hold of me. 801-899-6203, 801-899-6203. There are rules. If you call in and everybody in my comment section tells me to dump you because you're being rude, you're trying to set us up for some big gotcha moment, I will kick you off. It's my show. I get to do what I want with the calls. But if you don't respect the show, I'll kick you off and then I'll block you. So, all right, let's go to our first phone call. Here we go.
Call from
Daniel.
Daniel, the Gygax. Everybody, if you're listening and you can hear the show, can you hear Daniel? Just let me know if you can't hear him in the while I'm talking to him. Go ahead, Daniel. What's on your mind?
And I've talked to Ryan Thomas before on this. I think whenever we're talking about Notre Dame, if Notre Dame does leave and join, let's say, the Big Ten, that would change the way the Big Ten does the rest of their realignment. Because it will probably most likely be Notre Dame, one other, that's it, for the Big Ten.
Right, okay.
The SEC might just say, we're good.
Maybe. Yeah, I guess if you're saying that they're going to just cut it off, I was thinking about that because what you're saying is 20 teams in the Big Ten. They shut the door.
Yeah.
And they say, we're good. You guys do whatever you're going to do, but we're going to be a 20-team conference playing for a CFP every year. Do I have that right?
I mean, yes. And also, what out there still has, let's put it this way, $70 million worth of media value.
Right.
Very few. Florida State kind of does. Clemson kind of does, but they're most likely looking at the SEC. Then you start looking at the rest of the landscape. Miami somewhat gets into that threshold, but if Notre Dame says, hey, we want Miami, they're coming.
Right.
Stanford's a no. Stanford said no once. I don't think that anything down at the farm has changed.
Okay.
Just due to the fact of the amount of money that they make off their research, and they don't like sharing.
Interesting. So you don't think Stanford would be desperate enough to set their exclusivity aside for their educational, databases, whatever they call that.
I mean, you got to look at it this way. Stanford research is billions.
Yeah, what
and
is
we're
that
talking
called?
Millions.
Daniel, remind me what that's called. The
Penny wise
Stanford...
and pound foolish.
One more time.
Penny wise and pound foolish.
No, that's not what I mean.
Taking...
No, Stanford. What is their educational thing that they have the
Ivy League,
California
Ivy League library, the Ivy League Library Plus system.
Okay, and that's not part of the Big Ten. Has their own.
No, Big Ten Academic Alliance is something completely different.
Okay, all right. So those would need to be negotiated, right?
But the way it happened last time, it was you had to leave all other academic alliances that you had to join the Big Ten. That's whenever Stanford said no. Stanford's just a picky place. They do things on their own. I could see Miami or Georgia Tech being number 20 before Stanford.
All right, that's very interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah, but even then, we've talked about before. As long as Notre Dame has a special deal with the CFP, has a place to park all their other sports, and the Big East would love to have Notre Dame back.
Yes.
Yeah, Big East, if ACC falls apart tomorrow, Notre Dame still has all that. Say, hey, we need a place for our men's and women's basketball and our Olympic sports.
Right.
They're not going to say no. They're going to say, okay, cool, not a problem. Welcome back.
I got you. I get your point.
They let UConn back. They left for the AAC.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay, I got you, Daniel. Thank you so much for calling in. Appreciate you.
Hey, no problem, Nate.
We'll see you later. He is. And let me get to my special little sounders here. I've got these special things I can do this right here. Daniel, guys, thank you for joining the show. I appreciate you. What Daniel's saying is exactly right. There are other things that come into play when we're talking about schools and conferences and realignment. It's not all football, no matter how much we want to think it is.
Call from
Rudy.
Exactly right. Rudy, what is going on? Thanks for calling in tonight.
Hey, let me shut the broadcast up. Hey, I'm going to do something rapid fire because I'm calling about Notre Dame. But
okay.
Funny thing happened. Do you know TD Nash on X?
I don't know.
He'll post like, who's your favorite number 23 in pro sports?
Okay.
So he posted, who's your favorite number 44?
Okay.
And my first baseball game growing up on the north side of Chicago when I was like 5, I saw Hank Aaron right after he broke the home run record in like 73. He was my favorite player. But guess what? When he said, who's your favorite number 44? BYU, Danny Ainge.
I love it. Let's go.
I go, damn, I forgot about Hank Aaron.
There's a bunch of good 40. John Riggins. I mean, Reggie Jackson. 44 was
I'll take Hank Aaron and Danny Ainge in a bar fight any day of the week.
All right, there you go.
Here's the other thing, your age thing about players.
Yes.
My only problem with this is I think if you come off of active duty after 6 years and you were like a solid high school basketball player, you should be able to play with no exceptions. I have a problem with when you leave college after 2 years and play in the G League and then say, I want my college eligibility back.
I agree
like the Alabama.
Yeah.
That has to get scrapped.
I agree with you.
The CSC doesn't control revenue share payments. It only controls third-party NIL.
Yes.
So there's going to be a lawsuit one day because why can't Providence College or Villanova or USF, for that matter, come up with the full revenue share, which is well over the 22% maximum. Mm-hmm. Like it's 22% or $20.5 million. But then Ohio State makes $240 million in profit, and they can only spend $20 million. It's less than 10% of their revenue.
It is.
That's going to be challenged and thrown out.
Yeah.
So you can go to my X account and see my pinned tweet. It was about a year ago last week that I posted. I told you in our private conversations I worked for Comcast for a while.
You did.
I know the owners. NBC and Fox met with Notre Dame.
Okay.
ESPN has no control over Notre Dame.
Right.
The majority of their games and money comes from NBC. NBC wants a bigger cut of the Big Ten. So I think if they do go to a conference, it will be the Big Ten.
Okay.
And I agree with everyone that's saying, including you, there's certain schools they're going to take. And Stanford, there's an issue. I think the Big Ten might overlook the Ivy League library share.
Okay.
Because UCLA, USC, Oregon, and Washington are crying about travel. And there's talk of
they are. Yeah.
There's talk about going back to like divisions and pods.
Yes.
Where you'd have East and West.
Yeah.
You add Notre Dame, they're going to add a West Coast school. I know there's people out there saying USF and Miami. There are Southern schools. And your last caller made a great point about the academic stuff. This eliminates FSU or Clemson from ever being in the Big Ten. They've never invited a school since Michigan State. And everyone has to understand that Michigan State got invited without AAU in the 40s or 50s. That was before the Big Ten Academic Alliance was founded.
Okay.
And ever since they founded the Big Ten Economic Alliance, you have to be an AAU school. And Nebraska was when they got invited. But research made $18 billion last year. TV contract made $1.1 billion.
Yeah, it's not even close.
Big Ten presidents care about academics more and research funds more than what Fox is going to pay them and whatnot. But
no, that's more about access. It's not so much about how much money they're making in the media dollars. It's keeping the club to a smaller number. They want to be exclusive.
You throw Notre Dame into the Big Ten with, like, I don't care, Miami, Georgia Tech, or Stanford. That annual TV contract's probably going to shoot up to like 110, maybe 120 million.
It's going to go up, yeah.
And what people also don't understand is, are you familiar with the CFP payouts this year?
Yeah.
They've lowered the per game winning fee.
Yeah, they took it away. Yes. Yeah.
Right. Every school in the Big Ten and the SEC is getting $21 million next year. Every school. Even my poor, lowly Northwestern is going to get $21 million. That covers revenue share without dipping into their current budget.
Yes, that's right.
And it's going to, and the ACC and the Big 12 only gets like 13 million. Notre Dame gets 12 million. So there's almost a $10 million incentive for Notre Dame to join the Big Ten. And then their TV contract is what, like 56 million with NBC? They would be making over.
Yeah, it's probably a little more than that, but yeah.
They'd be making over 100 million in the Big Ten.
Yes.
So the financial incentives are there.
Agreed.
But I do agree with one thing. Notre Dame doesn't control it, but the Big Ten wants Notre Dame, and Notre Dame controls who the Big Ten takes because they want Notre Dame. That number 20 team is going to be whoever Notre Dame tells them. And I agree with you. I mean, I think it's a stretch for 24 because I don't know how logistically you do that. And my buddy Randy, the USF guy, and I were talking the other day on the phone. And I said, what do you think of the idea of like BYU, Utah, Texas Tech, Colorado, grab the Dukes, the couple teams in the ACC that get left behind that are actually brand names, and you have 3 conferences of 20.
Yes.
And I'd go as far as to say I would throw in the Big East for all sports except for football because they don't play football.
Yeah.
So you would have like a P3 with P3.5 with 71 schools. You break off from the NCAA because all this stuff is getting interfered with by Trump, by Tubbs. If anything is incompetent as the NCAA, it's the freaking Congress and the president's office when it comes to like sports. Like, keep them all out of it. Let the SEC, the Big Ten, a third conference, and the Big East split off and form their own alliance, get a collective bargaining agreement that says, like, you could transfer once. Unless the coach dies or walks out on you, you could only transfer once. And they got to have tampering rules. I mean, these CSC rules are enforced because, not to pick on BYU now, but what did AJ do to get $7 million this year? What did he have to do?
Average 27 points a game, something like that.
Right, but that had nothing to do with the investment they put in him.
No,
I don't know if you see the
had nothing to
commercial.
Do with it.
There's a ton of commercials right now for UConn men and women's basketball teams doing commercials for companies.
Yeah, he's got Red Bull. He's got Nike. He's not hurting for advertising. That's where all his money came from.
I haven't seen him on TV or doing any commercials or anything. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know about that. Rudy.
The CSC wants to ensure that if Nike gives you $4 million, you're doing something for it.
Yeah, in my opinion, that's subjective. That what's doing something. That could be one national commercial could pay for that.
Right. I mean, it's ridiculous because, you know, the Alabama Ford dealership outside of campus could just have you like show up one day to pass out hot dogs and pay you $10 million. And
they could.
Go back and,
there's reasonable and then there's unreasonable. I'm going to let you go, Rudy, but you're right. I get your point. Yep. Very good.
All right. Have a great night. Great show.
You too. Thanks. Appreciate you calling in. It's good to talk to you, Rudy. All right. 801-899-6203. 801-899-6203. All right, here we go. Or the hits keep coming. I love it.
Fergie.
I didn't hear. Who is this?
Fergie, Nathan. How are you?
Fergie. I'm doing better than you sound. What's going on?
I'm doing good.
Okay, good. You sound depressed or something.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, bud.
Okay, no, it's all right. Don't apologize. How you doing?
I am doing great. Good show tonight.
Thank you. What's on your mind?
Well, obviously, this Notre Dame question, in my opinion, it leans to a third conference. That's the way to go. It has too many valuable, machinations would be my terminology, but bringing the sport to a better place, not fighting over putting people into the SEC or Big Ten. It just has so many power. And I would give Notre Dame $200 million if they did it per year and build around it, just like the last caller said, for the third conference. It would save the sport and it would be easier to do because I do believe exit fees are a bad thing. Like those are something that people need to factor in. It seems so cool to just pay exit fees in the past. And now I don't buy that. I think that's a bad business concept.
Okay. Yeah, I just assume this all gets sorted out this very next deal and we don't do any more realignment for a while. No more buyouts. You don't have reasons to jump conferences. In my opinion, the easiest way to do that is just to say we're not the conferences isn't going to dictate who's in the big giant college football league. It's your qualification into the league that matters. And then when you do that, then it doesn't matter what conference you're in. That would then stop people jumping from conference to conference. There'd be no reason to have realignment. But
I would agree with that.
I agree with you. There is too much money, though. It's true.
Yeah, just the idea of going negative to create a new position, the ultimate final realignment, paying money to do that has very little. I get how exit fees go to teams in your prior conference to help them.
Yeah.
But I don't believe it has ever really worked out for any of the parties. In essence, people don't realize how much the Pac-12 teams like Colorado and Arizona State, we really made no money in the last 2 years because we had to leave a settlement behind for the Pac-12.
Yep.
So just not a fan of that. And if you pencil out this third party or this third league, it is incredibly strong. It would be, I know people maybe don't care about Winsipedia, which just tries to rank teams or program strength. There's 18 to 20 teams still in the top 50 that would be just as strong on an average team rating to the Big Ten and the SEC. And it's nice to have a Notre Dame, Florida State, Clemson, Miami an Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas, Georgia, a USC, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. Think about how neat those are kind of spread across top, middle, and including what we call the bottom, and yet the bottom is an Indiana or a Missouri or a West Virginia, and those are great programs. So I think NBC, the Notre Dame's contract's done in 29. It's actually before the rest of the league. So,
it's lined up with the Big Tens. It's lined up with the Big Tens.
It is, it is. But I could see Big Ten. I could see the NBC. I could see ESPN. I could see Amazon. I could see Netflix. It's going to be a wild ride. It'll give us great content, but that's just my take. Notre Dame your question will be simply answered. Notre Dame will be one of the most important pieces of the final realignment. And then I hope it never happens again, because Notre Dame and USC and Texas have played with the sport far too much.
I would agree with you.
That would be my last thing. I was going to mention my comment about the fee. There's an article about Tennessee and Arkansas using a % of ticket fees for NIL. And that's real NIL, in my opinion. If I choose to go to a football game to see the guys on the team play, that's their likeness. That's who they are. So I don't mind the idea of a % of ticket fee that goes to NIL. That feels more real than the bundling that Nebraska is fighting over.
I don't know. I'd have to think about that. There's a lot of. Yeah, I'm not going to comment on that one. Let me let that gestate, and I'll come back to that on Friday. So let me think about that in greater detail.
I'll send you a link to the article, and
that'd be great. Please do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, Nathan, have a good night.
You too. Talk to you later, Fergie. Bye-bye.
See you, bud.
All right. Excellent. Right now, I'm just going to quickly turn off the phone calls. So if you're calling right now, just know I've turned off the phone lines. I need to do some business, and then we'll come back and we will continue to take calls and your questions. Let me get right now to a super chat that happened earlier. Appreciate you, Ryan Willie, giving us a $5 super chat saying the Big Ten will go to 24 with Notre Dame, Miami, Duke, UVA, KU, and Georgia Tech. So Ryan Willie's calling his shot, saying that the Big Ten will pick up 6 schools to get to 24, including Notre Dame. So that's a big get and big prediction. Ryan Willie, it could possibly happen. I don't think it's likely, but I have been wrong many, many times before. So thank you, Ryan, for the $5 super chat. I very much appreciate it. Let's get to a few. I can do, I don't know, what's this? I don't know what that is. So much, Ryan. I appreciate you. Good to see you tonight. Let's see. Were there any more super chats? Just want to miss anybody else? Okay, no more super chats, so we can move on really quick. Let's do a reset. It's been an hour. I'm planning on going about another 15 minutes or so. So if you want to get your question in, you can call in once I turn the phone lines back on. And I'd love to take 1 or 2 more calls and get your opinions about what's going on. Also, if you want your comment to be read, make it a super chat. From here forward, I've already got some comments read. If nobody calls in, I've got about 10 minutes or so of comments that I can read back, ones that people have posted. But if you want yours to be included on the show tonight, make it a super chat, and I will make sure to cover that. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, and consider becoming a member of the College Football Mafia family. Lots of people, lots of positive people in the chat. If you have questions about what a member gets for their monthly subsidy, it is a ton of content. We do all kinds of member shows, and it all has to do with the way college football runs. Money, realignment, wins, losses, everything. We cover them in our member benefits section. Okay, I'm going to turn the phone lines back on one last time. 801-899-6203, 801-899-6203. Call in right now. And I will take your call. You can see my number down there on the bottom of the reader as well, 801-899-6203. While I'm waiting for anybody else to call in, I will read some of these comments that I had flagged from earlier in the show. By the way, the question that I put out, does future realignment consolidation revolve around Notre Dame first? No is 72%. Yes was 28%. That's a bit of a surprise to me. All right, here we go.
Call from
Caden the Diesel Freak.
Caden the Diesel Freak. How you doing, man?
Nathan, you know I had a call on this one.
Sure, go ahead.
Notre Dame, Notre Dame, Notre Dame. Jesus. How many times are their fans going to start yipping and yapping once again? It's not a no-brain question that Notre Dame fans are putting up this question to you, Nathan. But I'm going to get to my answer to you.
Okay.
Does Notre Dame control college football's future? No, they do not. Because right now, Notre Dame not being in the conference is pretty, and I've said this before, you know, I am a big disliker of Notre Dame.
Right.
I do not like Notre Dame, and you know I hate Notre Dame down to my bones, Nathan.
Okay.
Until Notre Dame joins a conference and actually puts some discipline in that locker room, no, they don't control college football's future. And Notre Dame fans can say, well, you know, if we didn't, you know, well, yeah. I'm like, stop. You would have to pay the NCAA over $200 million just for you to get away with winning national championships without even playing nobody elite. You would just have a cakewalk schedule of like Division IV, Division III schools. And then you pay the rest in case of you guys got to play us or Georgia or Texas Tech or BYU. You penalize everybody on the opposite side of the ball. And then you sneak your way out like Michigan.
Okay.
Jeez.
Okay.
That's how much of them scumbags from South Bend are. I guarantee you, they would have to get their funds from Under Armour. And you know what? I think their lacrosse team or one of them is sponsored by New Balance. They'd have to get their extra funds from New Balance, NBC, and then the NCAA would have to pay them. And even then, Notre Dame would get away, and then, they would say, we control college football, blah, 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 blah. But that's because you paid the NCAA $200 million just to let you scrape by without facing any consequences. And you did all that bribery with all that money you made off of your fan base, but also your own brand. And that would disgrace your brand completely, Notre Dame. So, I mean, I think it's kind of pretty obvious.
Okay. All right. I appreciate your opinion. That's very nice. You want to quickly plug your next show?
Yeah. So Saturday is the Return of the Saturday show. It's 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I told Mullen, Professor Ute, and yourself, you guys are more than welcome to pop in. I actually was just about to talk about Notre Dame because I've been hearing Notre Dame fans on Twitter, you know, yipping and yapping about how, you know, they would have won these national championships, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then Sunday is just the usual crap show, 2:30 to 4:30, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
So catch me talking. Nate, as I said, you, Professor Ute, Daniel Gygax, and all of them are welcome.
You bet. I'll let them know.
In and say your comments. And so, yeah, just do me a favor. The next time you hear somebody from Notre Dame or one of their fans talking about this whole controlling college football's future, yeah, it's going to be one big scandal that Notre Dame's going to cause that yet nobody from their own organization is going to get in trouble for. Because the NCAA is going to cover their rear ends, even if they were to get sued by other colleges.
Okay.
They would get, like, you know what I mean? It's like
I do, Caden. I'm going to have to cut you off. I wanted to get one more call in tonight. So I do understand what you're saying, though. Okay? Thanks for calling in.
Well, you guys take care.
All right, you too. Bye-bye. That is Caden, the Diesel Freak. Caden likes to come on. He's got his own show. Look him up on Twitter. Very, very entertaining. And he knows college football. He's pretty good at college football. He has some good, interesting takes. I would encourage everybody to at least check him out and see how much you would love or, just want to engage in what he's putting out there. I'll stick around for one more call. If somebody wants to call in right now, 801-899-6203, 801-899-6203. I got time for one more phone call, and if nobody calls in the next 90 seconds, I'm going to get to a couple comments, and then I'm going to get out the door tonight. First, I'm going to get to this one. Michael Smith in the house. Good to have you here, Michael. Congress should say, you want hands off? Okay, then we'll just remove the $4 billion in annual athletic scholarships. Pay your own way. There are levers out there. That would be like a post-nuclear option right there. We're going to take all your money Congress gives to athletics in the United States. That's a big number. It's a very big number. So, that's one way to go about it for sure, Michael. I get what you're saying. Another $5 super chat, Caden, the Diesel Freak, on cue. Good to have you here again tonight, Caden. Notre Dame are the clowns of college football because Michigan and Florida State. Besides Michigan and Florida State, sorry. Caden, the Diesel Freak, is a fan of the Ohio State Buckeyes, just so everybody knows. Thank you so much, Caden. I appreciate you. Let's quickly give you for your $5 super chat, Caden. Thank you so much for calling in tonight. Let's get to a couple more comments here, and then I'm probably going to be out the door. Let's see here. Sorry, I can't read that. Black Raider Steel. That's a fantastic name. I love it. Black Raider Steel says everyone wants to add the biggest brand in college football since 1980. The U. It doesn't matter where Miami lands. 5 titles in 40 years is proof. I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan of Miami, and they're not going to get left out by any means. It just depends what's the final destination for them. But yeah, I'm one of the people out here saying that I think Miami deserves to be in a blue blood. So I'm definitely supporting that comment from Black Raider Steel. Thanks so much for being here tonight, Black Raider Steel, and thank you for your comment. Make sure you follow and subscribe. And last but not least, Mowing After Dark gives 1 College Football Mafia membership, and that membership goes to Ken Stromness, a new member. Ken Stromness in the house. Good to have you here. Make sure you check out all of our member videos in our membership area on the College Football Mafia page on YouTube. Thank Moen in chat. If you're watching Ken Stromness, let him know you appreciate him giving that to you. And I'm just going to ask everybody, if you receive a free membership at any point and want good luck, want to pay it forward, want good karma, easiest way to do that is to give a membership yourself. Hit that little dollar bill next to the comment box, and you can gift memberships right there. Ken Stromness, thank Moen in the comments. Let him know you appreciate that new membership, and we will again do membership. Thanks again, Moen, for giving that to Ken Stromness. And encourage all you members of the College Football Mafia family, check out our media library. Whether it's a member video or a regular video, we have some of the best in the business doing shows, and I think we do a pretty good job. Like, comment, and subscribe if what Moen says. There used to be a button. I couldn't find it, Moen, in the style for my Bomb3r's Blitz. There used to be a button that I could hit that said it was the like, subscribe, YouTube little bubble that popped up down at the bottom of the screen. I can't find that, so we'll have to talk about importing that one to this Bomb3r's Blitz brand, because that way I can run it during the show. But definitely like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter, get involved on Twitter. Let us know how we're doing. The Wild Ute Mowing After Dark, and what we do here, we enjoy reading your comments, questions, and we turn around and use those in our shows all the time. And then in our features, we use those as well. So I appreciate everybody being here tonight. Lots of good stuff we talked about. Does Notre Dame control college football's future? In my opinion, the answer is yes. And I think, unfortunately, as Notre Dame goes, the rest of the college football world is going to follow. And if that means they take a first step somewhere, it could end up killing the ACC conference. That's just that could happen sooner than later. So we'll have to talk about that in the future. But thanks so much for being here with me tonight. I appreciate all of you. You guys have a great night. Stay out of trouble. I want you to say peace out to those people that weren't here tonight. Make sure you're watching and leaving your comments and questions. Let us know how we're doing. And make sure you follow and subscribe and like to everything we do around here, because we certainly do the work trying to make things easier for you with the news. I appreciate you so much. Everybody stay out of trouble. I'm going to say go Cougs. And I'm going to say peace. Everybody have a great week, rest of your week. And I will talk to you on Friday night for the Big Freaking Friday show. We'll talk to you later. Bye.